Not yet. Not on my side. Not made it here yet.
Try it now.
Still going. Nope, not yet.
We
Should
are
have went,
live.
should have went live instantly.
I think we're there. Hey,
I'm
we
not.
are here live at the studio at the Creekside Studios here at the Yak Shack. This is Kyle Thompson. I am here with Craig Blanton tonight. Craig, what a game for the Kentucky Wildcats. 4 wins in a row after a really disappointing loss at home against Missouri. They've kind of turned it around. Didn't have to come back from behind tonight. This was what a lot of folks have in my DMs and online are calling the Colin Chandler flu game. Colin Chandler ended up with 18 points tonight. He ended up with 7 rebounds, and he only had 1 turnover the entire game. So Colin Chandler is a big name we're going to talk about. Denzel Aberdeen, 19 points. Otega Oweh with 18 points. Kentucky wins 85-80 at home tonight against the Texas Longhorns. They go 4-2 in the SEC right now, in a competitive SEC where they were already in that kind of gaggle of teams that were hanging out at number 2, and now we're looking at them kind of separating themselves as some of those teams are going to lose tonight. What were your takeaways, Craig, from the game?
Well, there we go. I'm sharing it on Facebook now. Let
Okay.
me get back. Let me get back over to our regular one. Was Otega Owe came through again, and even though he didn't shoot well, he went 8 for 20. He still carried the team. Um, Aberdeen went 4 for 10. But his big key to the game was he went 9 for 12 from the free throw line, especially down the stretch. That made a big difference for us. And see, Jasper Johnson went 0 for 2. He didn't get a lot of time. Uh, Chandler had 18. That's the best he's had in probably 8 games, maybe. And
It's the most Chandler has scored since December for the
okay, yeah,
Cats.
all right. And then
Last time Colin Chandler had gone before the last 2 games. Colin Chandler hadn't scored in double digits since that terrible game that we played. Well, that we were on the same court, but we weren't playing any basketball
yeah,
against Gonzaga.
well,
So
and our key tonight was we went 85% from free throw line. Um, Diabate went 5 for 6, and Chandler went 6 for 6. Obviously, with a 5 point victory, that's good. Um, Going the first half, being tied at 40-40, with that being down 17 one game or 18 the game behind that was huge. So I said, well, we're up 17 already because we
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 weren't
weren't
down 17.
we
That's
weren't down 17. Didn't have to
yeah.
play like a madman to come back. But now, why don't you tell a little bit about what we're doing here since it's our first one?
Yeah, so we do want to thank you guys for joining us. Kyle Thompson, a lot of folks call me KT, here with Craig Blanton. We are pushing this out over our YouTube channel, Apex Media. It's our hope that you'll be joining us for Kentucky sports and updates, not only with Kentucky basketball, but obviously with Kentucky football and all Kentucky sports for that matter. We're going to talk a lot about Kentucky basketball tonight, Kentucky men's basketball tonight, as we are talking about the Cats' big win at home against the Texas Longhorns. But we're going to talk about a bunch of things going on with the basketball program right now, and I hope you guys will join us throughout the rest of the year as we try to bring you all some updates and highlights regarding this game. Kentucky and Texas were tied 40-40 at halftime. I texted some buddies of mine and said, "Wait, you're allowed to be tied at halftime. You don't have to be down by
Yeah,
11 or 15
17
or
and 18.
whatever."
Yeah,
Um, so Kentucky played well in the first half. They shot 42% in the first half. It looked a lot like the '84 Final Four game against Georgetown, where we missed a lot of shots within 5-10 feet. I mean, there were a bunch of doinks off the back of the iron tonight. Very frustrating. Kentucky missed about 5 or 6 layups, just bunny shots in the first half. Probably should have had a 6 to 8 point lead at halftime, but they weren't. And you had to feel pretty good that you weren't going to have to scramble to come back from a double digit lead
Well,
or double digit deficit in the second half.
well, we did. We
My
also gave up. If you remember, we gave up about 5 or 6 wide open layups too,
Oh yeah,
where they got
I think
behind.
that
They got behind the defense,
yeah
and
yeah
we just didn't hustle back.
our second half defense tonight, especially in that from about the 12-minute mark to about the 5-minute mark, was significantly better. Kentucky once again went on about a 4 to 4.5 minute run where they could not score in the
Yeah.
second half. You gotta limit those. It's just you got to knock those things out, even if you're hitting some free throws or something. But uh, UK was on the wrong side of the um, foul deficit for a long time, and I said
Did you
to
catch
a
that?
buddy of mine that what's that?
Did you catch that? Where we
I,
got like
I
they called 5 fouls on Texas in about three
Yeah, it
minutes.
was almost as if Doug Schaus of all people,
Right.
uh, it's like the group got together with about 13 minutes left and said, "Hey, we've missed a bunch of calls on
Right.
that we should have called. We're gonna even this out." And it that was the difference in the game because once you started getting some fouls on Vokatitis and Swain actually fouled out of the game. Once you
Right
started
at
getting
the end.
fouls
Yeah.
on those guys, they couldn't just play with absolute abandon at that point, and that's really what you saw in the first half.
Well, and it
Perhaps the
started. Well, I was going to say
Go
it
ahead.
started. Remember when Oway got that foul called on him and the guy
Yeah,
tripped and went out of bounds?
yeah,
About 30 seconds
that was
after
such
that's
a
when they,
yeah that was
they
such a poor call all the way
yeah,
around.
and that's when they called the first foul about 45 seconds after that. Then they started rolling off with 4 or 5 more. And then all of a sudden, the second half fouls were even.
Yeah, and Kentucky was even with Texas for the game on offensive rebounds. You know, earlier in the season, we were getting just out and muscled and beaten. And in fact, Mo Diabate disappeared for a couple of games.
Right.
I don't know if there was a question about his toughness or something, but he disappeared. He's come back the last 2 or 3 games, and in the second half. When you've got a guy that's just flying all around, Chuck Hayes style,
Yeah.
things start to happen. Things really start to happen, and that's clearly that's the message that's going on here. But perhaps the story of the game that we aren't talking about yet is the fact that early in the second half, Cam Williams left the game. He
Right.
was playing. Cam was playing a really great game. Cam had 9 points up to that point. Was 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3 point line, and he was 4 for 4 from the free throw line at that point, and he had 1 rebound and 1 assist. All of a sudden, just went down, was struggling to get up and down the court. The announcers announced that it was a foot injury, and I know that there's a lot that can go into foot injuries. If you're a Bengals fan, you worry about you lost Joe Burrow for a significant part of the season with a
Yeah.
toe injury. You worry about an Achilles or anything of that nature. He hobbled back to the locker room, didn't even go to the bench. What I'm hearing now is that he's day to day, just from my sources,
It's not a
but
big
that they're
injury,
gonna
right?
that's going to be a huge injury because all of a
No,
sudden
I
you had to
mean
go.
long term. Long term.
Oh, it could be a long-term injury. This could be
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, anything with your foot and ankle could be one game, or it could be the rest of the season. And
Mm,
so I'm sure they're gonna test it out. There'll probably be X-rays involved. He might be in a walking boot. All speculation at this point. But if we lose Cam Williams, Cam's really
we're
started to finally come into his own, and
yes, he
without
has.
Cam Williams, without Jalen Lowe, and without Jaden Quaintance, I don't know where you're gonna. I mean, all of a sudden, this team that went from having too many bodies didn't know where they go. Now all of a sudden we don't have enough bodies to go anywhere. They had to go deep into the bench late in the second half and brought Trent Noah
Noah
into the game.
brought Noah in.
And I'll be honest with you, Trent Noah played the best defensive series on Swain for the entire game. But you can't. You're not going to be able to rely on Trent Noah for his defense long
But
term.
that's been his weakness.
It really
And
has.
the insider stuff that you see online is saying that Noah's been working tremendously hard on his defense because he already knows how to shoot. Getting
Yeah.
4,500 points in high school, he's been working hard on his defense just so he can get in the game.
I
And
think
he got mop up
perhaps
minutes tonight.
I think one of the most interesting things is that we are finally seeing a semblance of order and lack of confusion from Coach Mark Pope.
Yep.
Early in the season, after the Gonzaga game, uh, Coach Pope said, I'm confused. I don't know who to put in at the right times. It seemed like up until that Cam Williams injury that he kind of had a flow. Fans were even getting used to it in the last two games. I had folks that were messaging me saying, "Okay, it's time to bring Chandler in," and Chandler would come in, or they'd say it's time to bring Jasper in, and they would bring Jasper in. So this is a fan base that truly knows a lot about how how uh,
How the flow of the game
substitutions
goes.
and game flow should be, and that's something that you could genuinely see Mark Pope coming into his own. These injuries, though, I mean, I tell you what, you have to fight through injuries, but we have two guys. I don't think Quainton's going to be back. Lowe's obviously not going to be back,
Yeah. Do you
and you
think
just you just hope
Quain?
Williams is going to be okay.
You think his dad has shut him down, or his agent for the year?
I believe, yeah, I believe that they have shut him down specifically um, because of the draft.
Yeah,
I
he's.
mean, I
I
think
made
that's
a
just a given.
Yeah, I made a post about it the other day, and people said he wouldn't go in the first round, and I said he's projected top 10. So I got to looking deeper, and he's projected as the number 8 pick and the number one center for any team looking for a
Yeah,
center. He's the number one center in the draft. And what's
he
he
is not
played?
a
3 games?
yeah, and of those games, it was only effective in truly one of them.
Yeah,
So I mean, where you could really see what was going on and things of that nature. Um, so I think in the grand scheme of things, losing uh, uh, Cam Williams would be huge, but we're already fighting through these injuries that we already have, and what do you do? So that begs the question: what does Kentucky do? We're 4-2 at this point. We're fighting for our proverbial lives to get into the NCAA tournament. If Kentucky lost the last two games, they're fighting their way to get back into the tournament.
well,
Kentucky is, I think,
they're
after
10.
this win tonight, I think they're solidly in the tournament. They're going to
They're a
be
10 seed right
favored.
now.
Yeah, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be favored in enough games to get them to 20 wins. They'll probably win a couple games in the SEC tournament. Gosh, I hate talking like UK making it to the tournament. That's like an Ohio State fan saying that their football team might make it to a bowl.
Yeah,
But that's where we are. So the next question is, what does Kentucky do to keep this going? And earlier today, I said to some buddies of mine, shout out to the Delta Sigs out there. I said to them, you know, with Najee being declared eligible by the NCAA to play at Baylor, with the guy down in Alabama now that has been declared eligible. Well, this is the weird part. He's not declared eligible, but he is. Um,
TRO.
there's been a temporary restraining order put in place that allows him to re-enroll in school, and if Alabama wants to play him on Saturday, they can. So I said to my guys, what are we going to do? UK has to go out and find somebody. I mean, everybody else is doing it. You have to do it. I realize that there are a lot of fans out there, me being one of them. I don't like this. I don't like this whole. Honestly, I don't like the extent to where NIL is at this point. I don't like the fact that we're looking at pro players. Are we going to allow Tom Brady to come back and play at Michigan for a year? I
Well,
mean,
or let
I think that'd be
Big
an
O
upgrade
come
for
back,
Michigan.
get Big O come back in.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the whole point. What are you gonna? where's the limit? So what's Kentucky going to do? It's my understanding that Kentucky has reached out to Dink Pate, who was
Yeah.
a former 5-star recruit, and a kid who actually graduated early at 17, then went directly to the G League. And then when he went to the G League, he was there for this is now his third season. He's averaging about 18 points in the G League. He went undrafted in the 24 draft. He has refused to sign a two-way contract and has not played in an NBA game. He was subject of much speculation that Calipari was recruiting him, and then he decided to essentially go pro. Um, he's eligible under the rules, the way that things are being played right now. He would be eligible, and he's dipping his toe into it. I know that Flowers, that is playing with the Chicago team, he's reported to be uh, looking to come back to college. Kentucky's gonna have to make a move like this to bring in a point guard or another body, especially if Cam Williams is hurt. And I think that's just where we are. Uh, Craig, from a traditionalist standpoint, as I would say you and I probably are, what's your opinion on bringing in these former college players and now essentially pros?
Well, they're playing pros now. They're all making $1 million,
They are right. I mean,
500,000. That's why I
yeah,
think the courts are
million
ruling.
bucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the courts are ruling this way, uh, but it's going to ruin the game completely because when you have um, the guy from Alabama, he comes in, he's 2 years in college, 2.5 years in G League. What's he, 24 years old? I was looking up his age beforehand.
yeah.
He's going to be
He's a grown
23 or
man.
24 years old, still have 2 years eligibility. And it's like the quarterback from Miami, what it was in his seventh year
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. He
in
graduated from
football.
college 2 years ago. He said.
Yeah, and hadn't been to a class or nothing in 2 years. He's just drawing a paycheck. So I guess he thinks he won't be drafted. But it's going to be the ruination of college basketball. And right now, it's just made a post earlier. It's a wild west out there. There's
Well, and
apparently no rules. The NCAA, every time they make a ruling, the court overrules them, and they're on about a five court case losing streak on various different things. So
I watched it. Yeah, I watched a really good breakdown of this last night on AM Hoops. If you guys have the opportunity, go watch AM Hoops on YouTube. And he was explaining why the NCAA is not so interested in ending this for everyone. He gives a great breakdown of why that is. Essentially, because if they go and they lose, then all of a sudden there could be an antitrust lawsuit brought. And if that happens, that opens the door for every player
in the G
that
League,
was not paid
yeah,
to
G
receive
League, G League,
damages.
but they're letting G League players in. They're
Right,
paid. They're
right.
professionals.
Yeah, right. But if you deny these guys to come back in, you open up an antitrust lawsuit essentially saying you're preventing these guys from making money at something that they do, and you're already paying other guys. So I mean, you're basically going from one pro league to another pro league
Yeah,
now. And if you prevent them from doing this, every person you've ever denied the ability to do this, you're going to owe them damages at triple the rate.
right.
So they don't want that. It would bankrupt the NCAA. You'd never have the NCAA again. The NCAA would be over, and that's why they're taking these on a case by case basis. But they're only doing it in these temporary restraining order areas, and then they're not going to take it any further. I do not believe that the NCAA is going to do anything to um, truly try to prevent these guys
Yeah, they're
from.
not stopping it,
Uh,
and
no,
they're not going to. There's just too much money involved. But the thing from
right.
the fan point of view is there's no more team loyalty. We saw that when our football quarterback just automatically went into the portal, and he's just they're just playing for money now because they know they can make life changing money playing 3 or 4 years in college football and college basketball, and the players that are not good enough to make it to the NBA are hopping from team to team just for a paycheck.
So that begs the question for you who are watching us. If you want, make sure you like and subscribe the YouTube channel, or if you're on Facebook, give us a thumbs up. Let other folks know. If you do that, it helps people. It helps the algorithm, and it helps people find us. So that begs the question, Craig. If you could pick recent some guys who have recently left the University of Kentucky or even any other school that may still have some eligibility, who are you going to go out and get?
Big O right off the bat. We can use
I mean,
18 rebounds a game from the center
can
position
you can you
with
imagine
with JQ
if you
out.
yeah. I mean I think that's one Ty Washington is one that people have
Yeah,
talked about. I had somebody even mention Rob Dillingham. I mean, you you get some guys who
that were
genuinely thought they were going to leave and make millions and millions of dollars. But now, the way things are, just 3 or 4 years later, you can make millions and millions of dollars
right.
staying in Lexington.
And Dillingham, he's doing great. Him and Reed
He is.
Shepard are doing really well in the NBA. So
Yeah.
Shepard's up for a big money contract. I think after next year, a renegotiation after next year, Dillingham will be too. So, but really gettable people and the ones that want to come back, Big O has been all over Twitter, all over X, saying he would come back. He reached out to Coach Pope, say, "Hey, I'm ready," but he's gotten NBA money with the Pacers.
Right.
Yeah, he got NBA money, so that's stretching it a bit. But it's I mean, hell, if we want to go, we got 27 players in the NBA. Get them to come back after they retire, be 40 years
Right.
old, be 40
I mean,
year old NBA players.
could Rajon Rondo still run the point? That's the question.
If all he had to run was from the top of the key to the top of the key,
I
probably
say like,
so.
yeah, don't even run back on defense. Just throw the ball to him. Let him
And you know who else has
run it
got
from there.
4 years eligibility that was going to come to Kentucky's LeBron James.
Well,
He's got
yeah.
4 years. Kevin Durant, let's see, yeah, Durant was coming to Kentucky. He's faint. He says that all the time. When he retires, we can have
Well,
him come back.
Draymond Green, uh, very famously committed to the University of Kentucky, but didn't
Yeah,
tell his mother because he had committed uh, while he had come down on a Sunday afternoon, went home, didn't tell his mom. She found out later that he had committed and he decommitted and went to Michigan State.
yeah. Um, let's see who else.
The
Uh,
rules are just the rules are
they're wide
gone,
open.
and I
They're,
think at this point anybody who tells you otherwise is not paying attention to the scenario. Now, I don't think this is forever. I don't, you know, there was one third the number of kids who jumped in the portal in football than last year.
so there
Because
wasn't there wasn't like 2,000 players that went in this year.
there weren't as many players who went in and actually left the school. There's
Oh,
about a
okay,
third.
gotcha.
And
Yeah,
the reason that they say that's happening is because these kids are realizing there there isn't a pot of gold, everywhere you go. UK has several guys who entered the portal and have not signed anywhere.
yeah,
Um, one of them a local kid, and I think I think what is happening is it's the Wild West, but then all of a sudden, year after year, people are going, this is not as grand as everyone thought it was. And I think next year you'll have fewer people and it'll kind of settle out. I also believe, fortunately and unfortunately, that Congress will get involved. And I say unfortunately because I really want Congress to be focused on things that matter. I want them to be focused on things that they need to be focused on. And college athletics doesn't seem to be the big thing now. Getting gambling under control with college athletics, that seems to be an issue, especially with
yeah.
um,
But back to
the most recent
your
indictments.
congressional thing, NCAA asked Congress to get involved as
They
soon as
did.
this court ruling was over.
Yeah.
They asked Congress to get involved because they can see the writing on the wall that that's going to just ruin the NCAA. there'd be no point
Well, I
of
think
going to class because you can say, I'm going to go to G League or I'm going to go to Europe and play and make some money. And if it doesn't work out, I can always fall back to college.
yeah. Well, getting back to tonight's game, I think it's important to understand that, you know, Kentucky is a good basketball team. Are they a great basketball team? I don't know. Uh,
We're finding out.
probably not a Final Four or even Sweet 16 team at this point, simply because they have so many injuries and bodies. They're just for some reason it's taken them a little bit to kind of gel and get this team kind of going. I think these two wins this last week, these two comeback wins were good for the morale of the team.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
you're starting
heck
to
yeah,
see guys do a lot of talking, backing each other up. You know, they're chirping when the other guys are getting chirped at, which is good. You're seeing there's passing happening right now that you didn't see the first 10 games of the season.
yeah, because so
They
much
look
one on
lost.
one.
So much dribbling, and it goes for all of them. I mean, Colin Chandler and Denzel Aberdeen were perhaps two of the worst. A lot of dribbling, not a lot of action. We're kind of getting over that now, right? We're getting to the point where it looks like we're actually rolling with this. So my question then becomes, does an injury like if Cam Williams is out for a significant amount of time, does that hurt us? It seemed like we kind of gelled together and kind of backed each other up late in the game here when we lost him. But we're one terrible injury to Otega away from being a 15
Well,
win team.
sure.
Just
Well, we've already got
period.
two. We've already got two terrible injuries, and we're
Yeah,
in we're in the next man up phase for the rest of the season. It could be Trent Noah's time to step up to fill
it
in
really
if
could.
he's out for a month or if he's out even a week. It's just we got to play next man up ball the rest of the year because of the two injuries. One of them's we already knows Lowe's already done for the year. JQ is probably done for the year, but we don't know because Pope won't say anything.
Pope won't say anything, and honestly, you're probably getting into that realm of potential tampering and things of that nature. Listen, I don't know what the true story is there, but
Nobody
he's
does.
19 year no, he's a young kid, he's 19 years old. He he had a horrific injury, tore all the ligaments in his knee, came back in less than a year, and we were told this is a process. It's going to take time. And I've seen guys with injuries like this who are fine when they come back, and I've seen guys that struggle. This is a kid who grew. He actually grew in height after he had the injury. So
But
imagine you're trying to heal a terrible injury while you're growing and you're 6'10". I mean, it
yeah,
does. I mean, the
but
body doesn't
from a
work like
fan
that.
point of view,
Yeah. Oh,
and
I get it.
the
Yeah,
fans donated all that money to the NIL stuff.
I get it. I
We're
get
out
it.
$2 million on a rehab project that we might get 3 games out of. And a
I
lot of fans
totally
on social media are madder than hell about it.
I I totally agree. I'll also say this. It could have turned around the other way.
Yeah,
He
but
could have we could have had 15 games of the way he played the first game he came back
yeah,
and been lights out, and it would have been worth every penny. Is it a gamble? Absolutely. Had we not taken the gamble and he, stayed at Arizona State or had gone to USC or had gone to any of these other schools and scored 22 points a game, then they'd be jumping on Coach Pope's back about, why didn't you, why
but
didn't you pony up for this
it
guy?
would be better to jump on his back if he didn't come here versus doling out $2 million to one player that you get 3 games out of. Looking at it from a fan point of view, I remember one comment said, I got to work 20 years. I make 50,000 a year. I got to work 20
Totally
years
agree.
or 40 years to make what he's making in one year. And he said, they ought to pull the money back. They ought to do like Penny Hardaway, where he fines the players $3,000 or $4,000 when they screw up. But there ought to be something in the contract. If you're injured, we'll take care of your injury, but the money goes back in the pot. I don't know if it's legal or not.
Yeah, I don't think any players would come here if we did that. I mean, that's the problem right
No,
now is
I've
that the
crossed the
players have.
NCAA. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean, I agree, but I think that's the problem is that you will always have a program, whether it's an Arizona, whether it's a Michigan, whether it's an LSU, you know, Florida. You will always have programs who will not abide by, hey, we're gonna put this in every single contract. No, we're gonna do it.
yeah,
We're not gonna put it in there, and we're gonna take every player because they know if they get hurt here, they're gonna have guaranteed contracts. I mean,
yeah,
let's be honest, that's what we have now. We have guaranteed contracts across the board for these guys, not performance contracts. And
right.
I and I think the next step that you will probably see is that it's crazy as it sounds. 4 or 5 years ago, when I heard about this, that the NCAA athletes were talking about unionizing, I thought, well, that's ridiculous. Why would you unionize when you can just compete for just like everybody else can compete for a scholarship? But when they were talking about that, and I believe it was the University of Minnesota, where the union
Yeah,
officials, the guys who
yeah,
have started this
that makes
program,
sense. Minnesota.
that yeah, they saw the writing on the wall. They saw that the real power is going to be unionizing the athletes, and they're just going to say if we don't have guaranteed money for our athletes, then we're not playing.
And you
We'll
know
we'll
what the
play
fans will
and
do? There's so much sports on TV now and on social media. The fans will just walk away. Just like if the NBA, if the WNBA doesn't
oh
sign their
I
contract,
yeah
they're dead. They can talk all the
that's
big talk they want, but they're dead if
that
they
do-
don't play.
that WNBA discussion right now is perhaps the wildest thing. They have been their supermax contract is $1.2 million, and their average contract is 550 to $600,000.
That's on the new
This
one,
is a group. Yeah,
the
the
new
new one.
contract that they want.
The Yeah, it's 5 times that's what's been offered to them. It's 5 times more than
Oh,
what the league average is right now, and they're gonna walk on that because they want a revenue share. But
there's nothing to
you're a
share.
numbers guy. You
There's
you s
nothing to
you
share.
say yeah, you say numbers scream. There's no revenue to share. If you wanna share
Yeah,
in anything, it's gonna be the debt, but,
and
I
is the NBA going to keep ponying up all this? You know, if they're talking $1 million, there's AJ Wilson and Caitlin Collins and a couple others, or Caitlin, what's her name?
Caitlin
Clark. Yeah,
Clark and
there's a couple others
and
that are worth that kind of money, and that's it.
yeah, and I think that what they miss is this has been done by leagues that are bigger than you. I mean, 1994 Major League Baseball, I know everybody uses this analogy. Major League Baseball was the biggest sport
By a
in
mile.
the wor- it in the world
Yeah,
by far. It wasn't even close. And when and I know people say, "Well, there's soccer in Europe." Listen, the American dollar in American sports, Major League Baseball in the late '80s and early '90s was unbelievable.
oh, I
And
remember.
the strike hurt so bad you lost your one of your teams in Montreal, but it took 5 years until we had the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire,
5 years in
and it's
steroids. 5 years in
and steroids.
steroids.
You essentially had to have cheating in a sport to bring it back to popularity, and it's still nowhere near
Right.
NBA and NFL is now.
Yeah, I
I mean,
used
I
to.
mean,
I
they
used to.
crushed them.
Yeah, I used to read the box scores of the Reds every game, and when that strike happened, and I just said, screw it. I said, these guys are making millions, and it's not enough. So,
Yep.
and they were big feelers and all that kind of stuff. I just said, to hell with it. And I couldn't name. I'm not going to name the big players, but I couldn't tell you what team they're on because
Well,
you
and
just
we're
don't follow it no more. I don't.
and now you have the opposite that's happening where I was talking to the guys tonight and I said, no, Cody Bellinger just signed
For the
$162.5 million,
Dodgers.
5 year, $162.5 million. He's 30 years old. He bats 270 and he hits 20 home runs a year. He's a
Did he sign with
two-time
the
All-Star.
Dodgers? Did he sign
He
with the
signed with the
Dodgers?
Yankees.
Oh,
He went
Yankees.
back
Okay.
to the Yankees. So you're talking about a guy making $35 million, $32.5 million a year that playing first base or outfield, wherever they play him. And this guy bats 270. He's not a Hall of Famer.
No,
He's just not. And
look at the.
that's
We're off track big time, but look at the Dodgers. They've bought 2 championships. They've now going to buy a third. They're like $300 million over the cap. They're having to pay $170 million super fine or whatever they call it for being so far over.
yep,
And they
luxury
just
tax.
signed another. They just signed another $160 million contract. So their team payroll is 2.3 billion.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember when Steinbrenner bought the Yankees for half a billion? People thought he was nuts.
Yeah,
And now that's not even a team's payroll. We are off topic, but we're not that far off topic. And the way we got here is that's what we're going to get in college sports. When you're paying a guy like Jaden Quaintance to sit on the sideline with, for all but 3 games, making $2 million,
hmm
people eventually are going to go, no. But the flip side of that, and here's the argument. If you don't go after a G League player, if you don't go after a Jaden Quaintance and maybe hit a home run, if you don't go after this 18-year-old kid and pay him $1.5 million or $2 million, you're not going to win ball games anymore. You're just not. I mean, a good example is the Indiana Hoosiers. Yes, they had a ton of 3-star guys out of high school, but these are not 3-star athletes now. These are 23 and 24-year-old kids
right.
who've been in college forever playing as grown men against high school kids
Against
essentially in a
18-year-olds.
lot of their
Yeah,
games and beating them down. And because of that, they're getting paid. And you got the Mark Cubans of the world, and you got guys like the Steve Ballmers of the world, and all these other
Tyson. You
guys.
got Tyson Foods and Jerry
Yeah,
Jones funding Arkansas.
and and so you can get mad about it, and I am. I don't like it. I don't like that college sports isn't. I mean, I went to University of Kentucky. I worked for the athletic department. I had class and knew these guys. I know Coach Pope. These were guys who, just like he says all the time, played for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on
Yeah,
the back. But those days are over, at least in the short term.
yeah,
We're not going back to that in the short term. And so either we have to pony up to play, or the fans have to realize that if we're not willing to do that, that we are going to have a bunch of kids that we love that are probably homegrown. They're going to play their hearts out for the Kentucky team, and we're going to win 15 games a year. So it's one or
right.
the other right
And
now,
then the
and
coach is
that's
fired.
unfortunate.
Yeah, then the
And you're
coach
going to
is
get the coach
fired,
fired every 2 years
and
because
we're a
now
stepping
we're in a
stone.
situation. Yeah, you're not going to have a situation where you have a Tom Izzo that lasts 35 years at a
Mhm.
program anymore because your NIL is going to be dependent on winning, and if you don't win, you're going to be gone, just like
Yeah,
these professional leagues are.
yeah. So yeah, because Pope, what 10 games in, fans were wanting Pope gone. See, he's too nice. He sits on the sidelines when we're getting the crap beat out of us. You watch Alabama's coach, and he's ranting and raving all over the side. Every coach is, and Pope's just sitting there on the sidelines with his arms folded. But finally, when he jumped on Brandon Garrison, that's when he kind of started getting the fan support back. There was rumors that he broke a clipboard, I guess at halftime or something, and
Yep.
that's when the fans started. I haven't heard any of the get rid of Pope talk in about a month, but it was pretty strong there for a while, and just because he's such a nice guy.
I think it's interesting because I think Coach Pope is not just a nice guy. I think Coach Pope is a good coach. Is he a great coach? I don't know yet. He hasn't coached long enough to say he's a great coach.
Right.
He is a good guy. I would want my sons to play under him. And I know Mark. I know him to be an impeccably stand-up person, but we're just in a different era, and I want him to succeed so bad. It hurts, and we spent a lot of money this year. We spent 21, $22 million to make that happen, and it hasn't turned out fantastic. It's not as bad as it could be. These last 4 games, have kind of
It's getting
saved the
better.
season at this point.
Yeah, the analytics are starting to play out now. Because he's big on the analytics, and the players hadn't been delivering because, as we discussed earlier, it was mostly selfish ball. Whoever got the ball would dribble it out and then throw up a crazy shot. They weren't passing like they have been the last 5 or 6 games. So,
Well,
so that
and
allows the
whatever, yeah.
analytics to come into play that he can actually mine that data and put the right player in the right situation, which he's been doing.
I don't know if you ever saw the movie Moneyball about
Oh yeah,
the A's.
yeah.
Um,
With
Mark Pope's a big believer in analytics, and I think it works when it works, and when it doesn't, it's bad. And
it
we've
worked for the A's for 3 years.
it worked for the A's for several years. It worked. It won the Red Sox a bunch of World Series championships. It
Yep.
won the Cubs a World Series championship. And now you brought that into college sports, but it when it comes right down to it, it still requires kids to put the ball in the basket. And Kentucky is shooting significantly better than they were earlier in the season. They shot 47. Well, let me make sure I got that right. They shot 43% tonight. They did not shoot great from the 3-point line. They only shot
Neither
28%, 5 of
neither team
18.
did. Yeah, neither team
Uh,
did.
Kentucky played much better perimeter defense tonight. There were not a lot of wide open three pointers. The ones that they were 2 of 18 from 3-point lines, and the one of the two that they made was greatly contested. It was a good shot. Um, and they're just being more aggressive. How many pick sixes do we have tonight? Where we had
One.
the
I think it was
turnover,
just one,
and
wasn't it?
one or
We
two, but
we
but
we
we
did more.
were
We forced more turnovers tonight, and
yeah.
we got that one. The first one when he hollered pick six, and I said, "What the crap is he saying? It should
Yeah. Come
that's
on,
not
Craig. You're
the."
gonna have to get with the new terminology that the kids
I
are
guess
using.
I'm going to have to, but uh, those kind of plays were our defense was really good tonight. I thought. We were
Our
we were in there
defense,
fighting for the ball, except for those 5 or 6 layups in the first half when we got beat on offense. I think that was just lazy, us not getting back on the play, and one of the Texas players just sneaked around us and had a wide open, uncontested layup.
in the
6 of them.
long term, yeah, the long term, Kentucky is going to have to keep this up. Again, it's gonna make a difference on how they what their roster looks like, what the extent of Williams' injury is, what the rest of the team looks like. Colin Chandler tonight. Colin Chandler playing with flu-like symptoms did not come to the shoot around. Didn't
Right.
even come to the shoot around tonight and scored 18 points. He was all over the floor. It happens a lot. We talked about it being his flu game, like
Michael
Jordan
Jordan.
back in the
Yeah.
90s. And sometimes when you're sick, you don't want to be out there anyway, so you just kind of throw caution to the wind, and maybe that's what we need. We need to play with a little more reckless abandon, and we seem to thrive in that environment. Colin Chandler, you said this when we were getting ready to go on the air.
Yeah.
Colin Chandler is
He's the
the
key in my
engine
mind.
of this
He's
team.
the key. Yeah, if he's in my
He
mind,
is.
he's the key because he hustles. If you watch him, he's hustling all over the court. He does his switches, and I just don't understand these wide open shots he's missing. I wish he would get his shot off faster because he passes up so many threes, and he's came in being a 3-point shooter. But his hustle on defense, his hustle going after free rebounds is a big key. And tonight he added some points with that hustle. And I think we're going to go as far as he carries us.
I I tend to agree with you. I would not have said that just 5 games ago.
Yeah, I've been saying it all
Um,
year.
I was very disappointed with the way, but I guess I wouldn't have said that, but you were right the entire time in that once he started to kind of take off, UK really kind of changed their momentum on the season. Kentucky right now is 13-6. Saturday, every game in the SEC is big, right? I mean, every
Yeah,
game's tough. They have a game Saturday against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not good this year. I mean, they're 11-8, but they are not as good as they have been in recent past. UK is going to be favored going into that game at home. But then Tuesday night, that's going to be the real test.
Well, let me
We're
ask
going
this.
down.
Let me ask a gambling thing. I
Yeah.
saw Kentucky was a 6 point. It had minus 6.7. Does that mean we're favored to win by
Yeah.
6.7?
Yeah. If it's -6 or -6.5 or -7, that
Yeah.
means that we're favored by whatever. You take
Okay.
away that many points, and that would tie the game.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that and that we were favored, but
We
I
did we
seen
did
that
we did not cover tonight. I think we were a 6.5 point favor going into tonight. We did not
one
cover,
by
but
five.
won by 5. We will be favored probably heavily. That number will probably go up. Um, but you got to win the gimme games. That Missouri game is biting us in the butt right now. You know, you should have won that Missouri game,
Yeah,
had that game in control. Lost that game. That kind of puts you behind the 8 ball. You can't lose any gimme games at this point. No team is obviously everybody has a loss in SEC play, but no team's going to go with just 4 losses, 3 or 4 losses in league play. I think 5 losses will probably get you at the top of the tier
yeah.
and get you a bye in the first week of or during the SEC tournament. So you got to win these games. You got to beat Ole Miss. I've been in Rupp Arena when Ole Miss came in and beat us when they shouldn't have. Kentucky's going to have to stay focused. Hopefully, if Cam Williams has to be out a game, it's just a game, and it's
It'll be time
Saturday.
for Noah
But
then. Yeah,
it will. But then you turn around and you got to go to Nashville, and you go to the worst arena in America. I
I
don't care
hate
what
it.
anybody
Yeah,
says.
I hate
I've
it.
been there. It's terrible.
Yeah, I
If
hate
you're
it.
the only place in America that puts your benches on the end zone, you're the one who's wrong, not everybody else. You go too far, you can fall off the edge. It's a terrible
Right.
place to play. I know that people call it, tradition and all this stuff. It's
And
awful.
I've seen players on the team catch their players that were, knocked off the
Yeah,
court, because they
yeah.
just stumbled 4 or 5 steps and about went off.
And for guys who have never played in Nashville, which is half of our team, more than half of our team, uh, you know, it is notoriously a terrible place to shoot. It's like
Bad sight
being at the
lines.
it's yeah, and it's like being in Madison Square Garden where it's the lights are very low in the second, in the behind the baskets and throughout
Right.
everything else. It's very hard to shoot in. Kentucky has won and lost some very ugly scores down there. They won one year, but scoring 48 points or something crazy like that. I mean, it's notoriously always an ugly game. It's always competitive. They can't get down by 17 to Vandy.
Yeah.
They just can't. You're gonna have to have scoring like you did tonight. Kentucky shouldn't have been tied tonight, but something about our first half starts. We cannot make easy buckets. I'm telling you what, if we came out and hit easy buckets in the first half, we could coast in the second half.
Yeah.
I
But
say that, and we were up 11, and we almost
I'm
blew
looking
it
at the
tonight. But
stats. Did we shoot 35 free throws? Am I seeing that right? Did we shoot 35 free throws?
let me look at the
30 for
stats.
35? Is that right?
Go to the box here. Um, I have on here that we shot free
The-
throws 30 of 35.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Texas went 18 for
Aberdeen,
20.
yeah.
And
Aberdeen shot 12 of them. Chandler
yeah.
shot 6 of them. Diabate shot 6. Moreno
And
shot
between
5.
those three, yeah, I mean, they only missed 4 shots
I
between.
understand Doug Schaus had some making up to do for years past, but he decided he was going to do it all in one game apparently, and only in
Well,
the second
yeah,
half.
right.
So,
So I didn't realize I thought we only shot 27. I didn't
no, no.
realize that we shot 35.
Well, and we shot 86%.
Yeah,
Had we shot 86% in a couple of other games, North
we'd have won.
Carolina, or
Yeah,
we would have won those games. Perhaps Missouri. Those are games we could have won. So finally, it was good to see on when Owe was fouled on the hard foul that they called
intentional.
a flagrant one.
Yeah,
There is nothing harder than making 2 free throws when nobody else is on the line and everybody's watching you. And I was
and he
I was
made them with
very
ease.
pleasantly surprised that he hit those. It's going to take, guys like that to step up. But getting back to where I was starting out at the beginning with this is Kentucky's going to have to decide, are we going to ride or die with the, 7 guys now, 7, 8 guys that we have playing, or are we going to try to introduce some stud from, the G League or from Europe or, something of that I know for a fact that they have reached out to guys in Europe and they've discussed things of that nature. Maybe this Dink Pate is the kid who comes in and I mean, he's still 19 years old. I mean, he would
See a
still be
point
like the
guard.
second
See a
young.
see a
He's
point guard.
yeah, he's a point. He's a shooting guard, but
Okay.
he can handle the ball, which would be necessary. He'd
Yeah.
still be the second youngest player on the team. This guy's been a pro for 3 years. He'd be the second
Right.
youngest player on the team.
Yeah.
I think Moreno would be the youngest on the team, and he would be the second youngest player on the
Well,
team. I mean,
Moreno has really stepped up.
oh, he
Huge.
that uh, I'll give some props to Major Chris Troutman, who I was talking to tonight. And he said to me, if he puts 25 pounds of weight on him, he's a 10-year NBA veteran all
Oh
day,
yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
That he had, I'm trying to look at right here. They have him down that he had 5 blocks tonight, which is impressive, but he altered just as many that he didn't
Right.
block as
And
well.
against a 7 foot guy that
A big
lives
set. He was a man that he was
and
going against tonight.
he lives under the rim. He doesn't venture out more than 4 feet. So they playing the
No,
defense. Now he blocks some shots, of course, but 7 foot tall. Um, but um,
and
I think
it's
he
good to
got
see.
Aberdeen. He got Aberdeen a couple of times, I
Yep.
think, and
Yep.
and he got Oway. I know once where I thought he was going to make it, but then Aberdeen got around him once and hit an important layup at the end of the game.
I think the most impressive thing for me with Moreno, if you're 7 feet tall, you should be able to block things and get rebounds. His outlet passes off when he gets rebounds and outlet
Hmm.
passes are getting to be so good. I mean, that starts these fast breaks. It starts these the quick pushing of the tempo, and it all goes with your bigs. And that's what Mark Pope was so good at. That's what, Carl Anthony Towns was so good
Yeah,
at. That's what these guys, they live for those big rebounds and you push the ball out. And his passing has become stellar. And I know
right.
you're a huge Djokovic fan, and or Jokic fan out
Yeah,
in Denver.
Denver.
Big man that can pass. I mean, there ain't nothing prettier than that, right?
Yeah, and Towns, in New York, they're talking about trading him to Memphis, but that's what he does too. He doesn't play. He's really a forward. He hates playing under the basket, but when he gets the rebounds, he moves it up the floor quick too. We've had a lot of, Anthony Davis did that. We've had and Mel. Shit, I was going too far back, but we've had a lot of big centers that could handle the ball. And then the one I can't pronounce, Andrich Jelovic.
Yeah, Jen refers to him as jellyfish.
Yeah, okay. He didn't play much, but he made some impact.
Hey, listen, the last 3 games, Yelovich has played his mind out. And
Yeah,
remember,
he
this
was
kid's a freshman. This kid's a
right.
freshman. He's
And he's
he's
skinny
young
as a
too.
rail, but he
He
still
is.
scored. I think he scored 4 or 5 points. Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, he
I
got
have
four points. Yeah.
I just got word from Michael McLean, a buddy of mine. Shout out to Mike. Uh, Cam has been diagnosed with a broken foot,
Well, he's
and
done.
and
Damn.
it might be a Liz Frank fracture.
And
That
that's what I had.
I don't have I don't have that as the diagnosis yet, but that's what the fear
I'll
is at
tell
this
you
point.
about that because I have one
Hmm.
when I fell off the brick wall here while I was washing my car.
Yeah.
And what it is, you're breaking your little bones, and there's a tendon that goes across your foot right behind your toes. You pull that away, and then you break 2 or 3 of those little bitty bones in there. And what they did on me, there was 2 procedures. One, was put screws in every bone and then have the second surgery to take them out and hope it worked. And the new thing, they put a rope in there, tacked it on one side on the left side of the foot, and then tacked it on the right side. There's a little hole that's about a little hole about that big that they did it all in. But the
Yep.
Liz Frank, if you don't get it repaired quickly, you won't be able to walk in about 5 years. It's called a
So
Liz Frank, medical,
yeah.
because during the Napoleon days when they were riding the horses in the stirrups, when they would yank back on the stirrup, the feet would curl around it,
Yeah.
and a lot of his soldiers suffered from that. So that's why it's called Liz Frank, the
I
tendon
gotcha.
tear and the bone
You
tear.
taught me something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
and how
I,
long how long were you in a boot with that?
8 weeks. Normally, you're in a boot 4. I was in a boot 8 weeks, and it was probably 6 months. And I was 62, I think, probably 63 when that
So
happened.
you're not 22
I'm
like
not
these
22,
guys,
but
top athletes.
and he's a top athlete, and I think I read somewhere that Seth Curry had this,
Okay.
but he's not a
Well,
hard driver to the basket. But I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't hold no water with that. But it could be a career-ending injury if it doesn't heal correctly.
well,
Career-ending, no NBA.
I I think this is so it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with all this, in that okay, so and now what do you do? I mean,
Yeah,
now you got to go get a body, right? Now you got
yeah,
three guys, three of your projected starters.
right.
Well, two of your starters and one guy that you were hoping was going to be a starter. They're done. They're
Yeah.
done for the year, likely.
So now I have a meeting with Noah at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Say,
Yeah.
buddy, it's not high
Yeah.
school now. You were the stud in high school. Now we need you to step up and be the stud on this team.
I and I think I think the talks just got more serious for UK to find a guy who hasn't signed a two-way contract and that's eligible. They're out there. There's some guy in Europe right now that is 6'8" that can shoot the lights out.
And dribble.
That and can dribble and has a Euro step. He may not be Luka Doncic, but he's good enough for what we need.
Well, if he's Liz
There's
Frank, we're screwed. We've got to do something. Somebody's got to step up here.
yeah.
That's about the worst foot injury you can get.
So we have good and bad tonight. We have a great win, 85-80. The Wildcats win at home against a very tough Texas team. Probably should have won by more, but they won, and wins are what
Yeah.
matters right now. We have a game Saturday against Ole Miss. That
At
game
noon. At noon.
at noon, and then Tuesday night in Nashville against Vanderbilt. The season could turn right now with if Kentucky doesn't play well and loses to Ole Miss and then gets blown out down in Nashville, we're in trouble. But if they can win on Saturday and figure out rotations, maybe keep that game close down in Nashville, maybe get another body into Lexington to be able to play. I can't believe we're talking about free agents in college basketball, but I think that's just the reality of where we're at.
Well, they're talking about the after Christmas bringing players in. I mean, even UK was talking about it.
I mean, I think you're just going to have to do it. It's just it's a weird, wild world, and we're all trying to navigate it ourselves. We'd love nothing more than for the old days to be here, but they just aren't. And just like a lot of stuff in this world, we just have to learn how to adapt. So,
Yeah.
we will. And in fact,
We're coming up on hour.
My buddy Todd Curtis just said this is Kirk Kriisa all over again. Remember, Kirk
Yep.
Kriisa had the exact same injury. Never saw him again after he got injured.
He had a Liz Frank also.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I didn't know that.
So shoulders and feet here, unfortunately,
Yeah.
are what kill us. So, I want to thank you all for joining us. We are going to do this on a regular basis here for these games and for UK sports and for all sorts of sports and all sorts of news and analysis. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. make sure you follow me and Craig on Facebook, and we will update you guys as things go on. For Craig Blanton, I am Kyle Thompson. I want to thank you guys for joining us here at the Yak Shack, here at the Creekside Studios, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.